Welcome to What the Duck, a podcast with real experts talking about direct spin challenges and experiences. And now, here's your host, SourceDay's very own manufacturing maven, Sarah Scudder.
Thank you for joining me for What the Duck, another supply chain podcast brought to you by SourceDay. I'm your host, Sarah Scudder, and this is the podcast for people working in the direct materials part of supply chain. I'm at Sarah Scudder on LinkedIn and at S Scudder on Twitter. If you are new to the show, make sure to follow this podcast so you don't miss any of our direct materials supply chain content. Today, I'm going to be joined by Nathan Wilding, and we're going to discuss 5S and why it's important in manufacturing. If you work for a manufacturer who's struggling with inventory management, then this episode is for you. Nathan started his career in retail and moved into supply chain. He has a passion for project management and process improvement. Welcome to the show, Nathan.
Thank you.
I am back in Austin, and we had quite a torrential downpour today. Some of my team and I toured a local manufacturing facility, and we got quite drenched. So hopefully we have a drought, but hopefully things will clear up a bit.
Well, here in Utah, we've had a lot of snow this year, and we're probably gonna have floods because of snow. We've had record amounts of snow for the year.
I feel like the weather is kind of crazy everywhere.
Yeah,
So you started your management career in retail, and something that I find super interesting is that you actually were a general manager at Jamba Juice. So Jamba Juice is headquartered in the Bay Area, where I used to live, and I know several people who worked in supply chain and procurement there. So would love to learn or hear some of your learnings from that experience.
Well, like you said, I started Jamba Juice, and I think probably my biggest learning there was my organizational skills. And this, if I remember right, it was one of the first Jamba Juices in Utah, and this location I was at was very small. In fact, my office was about the size of a coat closet, and the freezer, which is kind of the main piece of equipment there at a Jamba Juice, because all your fruit, your ice creams, everything goes in there, was not much bigger than the office I was in. And so stacking all the product in there, keeping it organized so it was easy to get, and we could be productive in our in getting the smoothies out to people was a challenge. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing that I learned there, and it throughout my life. I grew up on, I continued to grow my organizational skills, but that's kind of where I got my start, and I would say that's the biggest thing I took from my Jamba Juice experience.
So you were at Jamba for a little over 3 years. Why did you decide to leave?
Well, it was also kind of the main reason I was there is because I was going to school at the time, and it was right next to my school. So it was just easy transition. It was a decent job, and I was also being in college and in the prime of my life. The next adrenaline rush was a big thing to me. So I had a lot of flexibility. I skied a lot, and but then I just got to the point where I felt I needed to move on. So I moved on. I did some other jobs in between, but Jamba and my next big career move, I should say. So I had a lot of little jobs here and there, but my next big job was at a manager of a motorsports shop.
So for somebody who's not a motorsports person, what is that? Is that a place where people go to buy motorcycles and motorcycle stuff?
Exactly. It's motorsports is motorcycles, four-wheelers. Now the location I was at though was not We didn't particularly do real well in new motorcycle equipment or motorcycle sales. It was a little more the bread and butter, I would say, of this shop was rentals, and so I kind of got a new challenge there of my organizational skills because it wasn't necessarily new sales. So I had to, I guess the things I learned there was to really to spend money wisely and to make my resources count. Getting new product in front of people, making the aesthetics of the shop very pleasing to people. So if I and having enough equipment, not having too much, but having enough that when the opportunity arose that I could sell it, that I had the product to sell.
So I feel like when you and I were prepping for our interview, there was kind of a common theme that came through to me, which started at Jamba, carried through to the different retail positions that you had before you formally transitioned into supply chain. Where did your passion for process improvement come from?
Well, that's sorry if I get a little emotional here. I apologize. Um, I would say that the passion for that came from a bad accident in my career or my life, and kind of weird, but I was in a very bad a very bad car accident. Um, well, several years ago, but and I always had a kind of a passion for process improvement. But after this accident, I was in a lot of therapy. I was in a coma for about 3-4 weeks, and so coming out of that, I had to learn how to talk again, how to walk again, how to read again. Just simple things that you take for granted. I had to learn those things all over again, and so I really got a passion to, if I'm going to get back to where I was pretty active. I did a lot of different activities, and now I couldn't do any of them. So if I wanted to get back to where I was, I had to really push myself and get back my abilities. And so this is where my real passion for improvement came to me. And then I also went back to grad school after this accident. And in that grad school, I learned about Lean Six Sigma. And this really struck a tune to me because of the process I was in. And so I learned about that. This is where many many methodologies came to me on how I could better maximize not only my own life but where I worked in business, in just every aspect of my life. I Like we talked about earlier, I was already kind of into organization, but this gave me it taught me better skills on how to do it, how to maximize just productivity, how to eliminate waste, how to just many different things to maximize your profitability in company, in life. And I use it not only my wife she gets upset sometimes at me because I'm always trying to maximize everything, and it's kind of annoying to her sometimes, but she loves it. Even though she doesn't tell you that, she really loves it.
You're what I call a miracle. People who have a near-death experience and come out of it and learn a ton from it and help other people as well. So love
Thank
to
you.
hear your story. So you mentioned you learned about Lean Six Sigma. So can you explain what that is?
Yeah, Lean Six Sigma is it's actually a methodology on how basically just to maximize productivity, how to there's kind of two parts of it. Lean is a part that came out of Japan, and then Six Sigma is something that started here by Lean was started by by Toyota, sorry, and Six Sigma is something that was started here in the U.S. by Motorola. Well, these two these two methodologies have had a lot in common, and so they combine them into one, and they teach what's now is called Lean Six Sigma. I guess you probably could find just a Lean or just a Six Sigma somewhere, but everywhere I know of, in many big universities, they teach Lean Six Sigma classes. And I had never heard of this until I went to grad school, and I would really struck a chord because it was kind of right down the path that I was in my personal life, and I wanted to carry that over to my business career also.
So is Lean Six Sigma the same as 5S?
5S is a part of Lean, the Lean process, and so it's and that is probably without having perfect statistics on this. I would say 5S is one of the biggest things that many organizations start with first, because what 5S what that is it's 5S is sort, set, shine, standardize, and sustain. Those are the 5S's, and they all kind of have a piece. And by doing this, you can eliminate waste and maximize productivity, and save in many organizations just millions of dollars.
So the 5 are, I think I'm missing one from my list. Sort, set, standardize, sustain. And what was the 5th?
Wait, sort, set, shine. Did you say the shine?
I missed the shine. Okay.
Yeah, that's the third one.
Okay.
So what those means, I'll just give you kind of a quick rundown of what they are. Is sort is you're taking in whatever situation it is, you take those items that you need and you get rid of the ones you don't need. So you eliminate those, and so you really just in many situations there's just they kind of I guess it's maybe kind of my saying, I guess, but if you have a place to put something, you put something there. It's not needed in the whatever you're in your business, in say it's your personal life. 5S is comes in handy in all sorts of situations. So you sort that out. Then the next step is you set, and what you're doing is you're taking those items that you need, that you keep, and you set them in order. You create them very accessible for use in the future. And then next we go to shine, and what shine is just keeping everything really clean and tidy and clutter free. And so it requires you to continue, because a lot of places I'm sure many people have this problem is things start to clutter up. They clutter up more and more every day until finally, okay, let's clean this up. Well, this you keep things clean. It's all set in order first of all, so then you keep it clean, because messes happen every once in a while, but you keep it clean every day, and it's just that's the part of the last one, sustain. I'll tell you about real quick in here in a second here, but the next is to standardize, and you put the process in place, and you ensure that everyone is following that the 5S process. The last one is sustain, and that's just keeping committed, or create a commitment to follow, or everyone that is in the process to create that commitment that everyone follows it. So
sort, set, shine, standardize, and sustain. It sounds like this all comes back to minimizing waste. and increasing productivity. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah.
So, our audience is primarily people working in manufacturing, in supply chain and procurement, or in operations. Why should someone working for a manufacturer implement 5S?
Well, to save time, the biggest things I would say is to save time and to save money. So it's a very good method to decrease waste and to optimize your productivity. So and to just maintain order in your workplace. Um, you go into many businesses and they're just a disaster there. And in fact, I've been in a few where I've applied this 5S, and it getting everybody on board. That's the one challenge I've had in my past, is that getting everybody on board. People get into a rhythm of how they work, and if you come in with a new idea, change is very difficult for most people. So that was a challenge in a couple of places I applied this in, but the difference it made was just substantial. Times went down. Okay, I'll tell you about real quick after the motorsport shop. My big career move was I went to a company called Griffles, and Griffles they take plasma from a human patient, and they use that for medical research, for medical. It's a medical thing. The plasma out of blood. You know what I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest place I applied this 5S. In a plasma place, if you're familiar with, if anyone's ever been to a plasma donation location, the first thing when you go in is you go in and get your vitals taken. And Griffles, they wanted that to be about a 5.5 minute process. And the location I was at, they were doing that in about, they were plus 7 minutes on that. And so I went in there and I created a plan how to 5S the whole situation up there, the front area, the vital area. And in that process, well, let me tell you this about 5S also, is that it's something that you definitely want to have a plan, to create a plan of you where you want your end result to be. And so I did this. I created the plan, and then I had to get the buy-in from the employees. And
Which, as you said, change management is tough.
I've found that to be the case, and I've heard that most places people, they don't like change. In fact, at Griffles here, most of the employees that did the vitals, I was compared to a lot of them, I was a newer employee. I was their assistant manager, and I was a newer employee though, so a lot of them thought they knew. And I never did vitals. I never took vitals. I never worked in that area. I just managed them, and so they thought they all knew how to do it better than I did, and so that was a very tough. I created the plan, and then I had to get one of them. I picked the leader of I guess kind of the lead vital employee to come in. I presented the plan to her, and I got her to buy in, but she was still skeptical. But I did get her to buy into it, and told her how it was going to work out and what the results would be. And I can't say she was totally on board, but she would go along with me and help me to motivate and inspire the others. And so we went along it, and it was going to be a week-long process. And so we went in, we created the whole plan, we put everything in order. We cleared out a lot of stuff. They had a lot of clutter, a lot of waste, wasteful items up there that we just could get rid of and clear out the area, make it a lot more presentable to the public. And all said and done, we in their drawers, oftentimes they had just tons of their vital equipment tools in there that they were a mess. They had to, sometimes it took them a few minutes to find certain things after they'd been through enough of them. And so we created a very systematic order of what was going to be in their drawer and where. And we made every single station the exact same. So if an employee, they tend to work at the same one every day, but not always. Sometimes they'll switch from one booth to the other. And we made everyone the same. So if they ever did, it was no surprise that their items were in the exact same place in every single station. And so after it all said and done, the employees loved it. Like I said, they were resistant at first, but they loved it. And we right after we did it, probably 2 weeks after we did it, we saw times come down to the just over 5 minutes. So it created a lot of
times come
savings.
down, are you meaning time for what? Assembling up the end product?
No, what would happen? A patient would come in, they would sit down and get their vitals, and it would take them the patient, that is going to donate plasma. It would take them about, before this happened, about 7 minutes to get their vitals and send them to the next station in the process. And so after we 5S that front, the vital area, we brought it down to just over 5 minutes. So and that's a substantial time saving in this process. I mean, that wasn't just it was substantial. In fact, the other this is at a place called Telecrest was the name of the Griffles was the main location, but Telecrest was this particular location that I was in. And so the other ones that were in the state, this was out in North Carolina, and the others that were in the state, they actually asked me if I would come down and talk to some others about the same process and help them, because I was the only I guess Lean Six Sigma certified person within the whole entire region of the area. So
well, yeah,
they
I
asked me,
mean, the quicker they can get through patients, the more revenue they can generate, the more
sure,
people they can service on a daily basis.
exactly.
So if I'm listening to this and I'm a manufacturer and I just heard that example, talk to me about where I would even start if I don't have 5S implemented today and it's something that I do want to consider doing at my manufacturing plant. It seems very overwhelming.
Okay, and I'll also, I guess, kind of key on something else that you didn't mention there, but 5S was originally for a manufacturing plant, where I've used it in a service industry, and it actually started in your manufacturing. It's become very big. In fact, another really big thing it's become useful is in hospitals, hospital and medical facilities. It's I was reading an article one time, a study that was done, and they say that most industries are between 30 and 40% wasteful, and so in hospitals, actually was kind of a shock to me. They rank up in the 40% tile of wasteful and just all kinds of different things. And so it's become very big in a lot of hospitals. The whole Lean Six Sigma and 5S and all these different methodologies for that. So now remind me what your how to get started.
Yeah, so
Okay.
where I'm working for a manufacturing plant, I want to be less wasteful. I want to free up time and generate more revenue for my company, but I don't even know where to start.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's not that hard to do. 5S is pretty easy. Now, some industries have different challenges than others. In fact, part of, like, an example for me, was at Griffles when it wasn't 5Sing the vital station. I also going in there. They had several challenges that I notified that I took notice of when I got there, and one of them was their supply room, and it's not something I could do just start right away because of they to keep production going. I had to kind of do it after hours sometimes, or in ways that it wasn't going to interfere in production. And many manufacturing plants have that same challenge. So you have to. Here's where the plan comes in place. Creating a plan, like you take little steps here and there, and just I mean, start with sort. You sort out the things you need and you don't need, and those things that you don't need, just eliminate them, or put them where if it's something you do have to use every, let's say, month or 2 weeks or whatever it might be, put them in a place where they are not cluttering up the workspace, and then you just kind of follow that order: sort, set, shine, standardize, sustain, and little by little, just put your plan in place to where you can eventually get to a point like in the example I was telling you about in the vital station at Griffles. We I put a week process in place to get it done, because partly to get the tools I needed to, and also to prevent it from interrupting the production. So, and we did very good about this. It went very smoothly. A good plan always pays off, and the faster that you can get this the 5S into play, the quicker you're going to see your like in my case, the times went down. The employees were happier because it was just so clutter free, and they were not only more productive. I mean, that's a good thing for employees also, is that I think their esteem went up because now they're meeting their goals, which Griffles was always like, okay, we want to have 5 minutes here, or just over 5 minutes, and they were never getting that. So someone's always like, you guys got to get faster. They're always telling them something that they have to do, and employees don't like to hear that. And when they are hitting their goals, then I also put some rewards in place. Okay, we're hitting goals now, so here's some rewards for doing that. And they, everyone loves getting rewards for something they're doing right.
So to kind of recap, start small, pick things that are maybe easier wins, put a timeline. So it's 3 days, it's 4 days, it's 5 days. Don't have it drag on where it's going to take months and months to implement, because that's going to impact day-to-day operations.
True.
So I say, yes, I want to do this 5S process. I implement. How do I know what success looks like? How do I set benchmarks and KPIs and data around showing the impact?
Well, I think that comes in the plan. So you have to have if you don't have a goal you're trying to reach, then it's a little more, how should I say, I guess not as productive. Like at Griffles, when I was there, our biggest goal was bringing our times down to 5 minutes. So in whatever production facility or organization you're in, you want to have the goals to, when I finish this 5S process, I want times to come down. I want us to increase productivity, and I don't think you can't set goals that are too high out of reach. Make them measurable, and make them attainable. And once you've reached that goal, then you can go for the next one. If you make them too far out, you're only going to set yourself up for failure, in my opinion. So, I don't know. Every industry is so different that it's hard to say for everyone. But yeah, just a few little things that I would suggest is that creating that plan and what the end result will obtain by following that plan. And then, like I said, you can just once you've hit that, then I'm pretty big on goals, both personally and in business life. And so I set a goal, and I don't set them too high. I set them where they're a reach, where I'm not, they're not too easy to obtain, but they're a little bit of a reach. But once I obtain that, then I set another goal, and then I set another goal, and just and it gets you, when you obtain the goal, you get the win, which brings satisfaction
Yeah,
to
you feel
you and your
good, so
team.
you're ready to go back
Yeah,
and tackle it again versus getting deflated.
exactly. And for teams, the rewards are always good. You reach the goal, here's the reward. Set the next goal. They reach the reward. Here's the next. They reach the next goal. Here's the reward again. So that is very good for teams, and for the morality of your business.
hmm So you started in retail, you pivoted into supply chain. You're now a buyer at Juniper Systems. You've been there about 7 months.
hmm
Have you implemented 5S in your current role?
Um, not really. Maybe at my desk. Now I sit around and just order a lot, and so although if you saw my desk right now, you probably wouldn't think I follow 5S at all. But it I think it well, Juniper Systems is a amazing organization here, and they already do 5S out there on the
Okay,
floor
so
before I
you
ever got here.
actually joined an organization that already had it in place, which is kind of rare.
Correct. Yeah, I wouldn't say they're really they're real big on Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma principles, but they had 5S. They do a few other things like FIFO, which is first in, first out. So they rotate their inventory so to move it. Um, they they have gone to steps. I don't know if they went through a lean, had someone come in and do a Lean Six Sigma, help them with that, but they the people here that I've talked to, they do know what it is, and they do know the concepts. I just haven't seen. There's not like someone in a position that
Yeah.
is their Lean Six Sigma leader or anything, but they have a lot of the process in place here. So
Well, thank you for discussing 5S and why it's important in manufacturing with me, Nathan. Where would you like to send people to find you?
well, I LinkedIn, I guess, would be the best place. It's LinkedIn, I guess /Nathan Wilding. That's really the only social kind of media I ever get on. So about the only place you can find me.
If you missed anything, you can check out the show notes. You can find us by typing in What the Duck, another supply chain podcast in Google. To have optimal search results, make sure to add another supply chain podcast at the end of your search. To ensure you don't miss a single episode, make sure to follow this podcast and subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm at Sarah Scudder on LinkedIn and S. Scudder on Twitter. This brings us to the end of another episode of What the Duck, another supply chain podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Scudder, and we'll be back next week.